Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Now, for a little dad joke to start this, wanted to say behind every successful coffee business is a strong brew game and a lot of puns. Now, my guest today has been in the coffee business, but has also been working with others, individuals, entrepreneurs, on learning how to profit first and to bank on themselves. He's the co-host of a Wealth Wisdom financial podcast with his wife Amanda, and they share their experience through podcasting, through developing personalized financial strategies for individuals and couples, and profitability strategies for business. So, Brandon, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I tried to get on my channels, but I don't know if I got it working because I'm not a millennial, so I don't know how technology works yet.
Well, whatever age you are, it is definitely more difficult the less we use it. And so if you use
Right.
it and grow up using it, then you're going to be more inclined to know how to immediately key into those different tools. But um, I appreciate the work you're doing, and I'm excited for this conversation. So let's get started.
Yeah, for sure.
In regards to entrepreneurship, the show is all about highlighting those journeys of individuals and their entrepreneur experience. And I started this with that pun about coffee shop and being in a coffee business. Let's talk about that. But if there is anything that you have that precedes that, go ahead and highlight that as well. But talking about that foundational entrepreneurial journey for you.
Yeah, I think. Well, initially, my wife and she's went to University of Chicago, so she learned a lot about. I've been reading this book called Grit, so she learned a lot about how to overcome certain obstacles
Yep.
in education. I was in the music industry and in the Marine Corps prior
Okay.
to the coffee shop industry. So you learn a lot about what you can accomplish or what's possible, like meeting huge celebrities. When people said, how do you get in there? I'm like, well, you intern. So I did all that. Um, and then starting a coffee shop after 2008, people were saying, you can't do that. That's impossible. You shouldn't do it, which probably they were right. But being a naive uh, entrepreneur, that was the point of why we started. We wanted to change the world, and we were naive enough to think that we could, and we still think we can change the world, and we're still doing amazing stuff, and we're just a little wiser, a little gray, but
Yeah, that
yeah,
comes with the experience along the way. And I don't know, it always is grayness through experience, but it does seem
yeah,
that as you see more gray hairs, that there has been experience gained along the way.
yeah. Some I wonder. I'm like, dude, did you get any experience, or as I work with some, and some
Sure.
is what I think makes somebody powerful as an entrepreneur and a business owner isn't that they got knocked down, it's that they got back up again. They're not living in 2008 saying, oh, I did this or that, and they never got back up to do something. They got back up and they moved forward. I think
Yeah.
that's a power thing that we both have. We've gotten metaphorically punched in the face a couple times,
No,
so
sure. Well, let's talk about that coffee shop experience. What did you gain from that experience that you now know that would have been great to know at the time? And how did that resolve to where you're no longer in that business anymore?
yeah. So one is the profit margins on coffee
Uh-huh.
are not that great.
Okay.
As much as people love and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there all the time." Well, you need to sell a lot of coffee, and they need to be there every day, all the time,
Yeah.
for it to really work. And as a business owner, you're last to get paid, so it's illegal from a payroll perspective
Sure.
to not pay your staff, right?
Right.
But it's not illegal to not pay you,
Yep.
right, as a business owner. And then what happens is people say, well, you love it, right? That's why you do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I do. However, I do like to eat too.
Yes, definitely. Me too.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
it's
go
just
ahead. What
hard.
happened?
It's just
What happened?
sometimes hard, and people
Yeah,
don't realize the challenges.
yeah,
And then I remember in our second year of business, everything that could go wrong did go
okay,
wrong from, just, and it wasn't the business. The business was going, it was chugging
mhm,
along, but
yep,
we had family dynamics. We had a miscarriage. We had, um, I don't know, my grandmother died. My
okay,
cat died. My appendix, I was in the hospital. My wife was in the hospital.
wow,
And
yeah,
when a customer comes in and says, "How's it going?" they really don't want to hear
mm,
life sucks. They want to hear, "It's great. Here's your coffee," and move on.
right,
So,
true,
having somebody else that cared about us, not just what we produced, was really important, at least at that time,
yeah,
and still now.
yeah, absolutely, and didn't you experience some water leaking into the base
Yeah,
as
that too. We literally, this was why I love the infinite banking
uh
policy that we put in place, is because literally, um, there was roofers. They took off the roof because they were going to redo it, and then they left, and they didn't tarp the roof because there was no rain in the
gosh,
forecast.
right?
And I'm I go home to the gym, or go home, and then we go to the gym. My wife and I are on the treadmill. My staff person calls me, and I'm like, "All right, I'm going to call him in 5 minutes." And I hear the rain outside, so I'm like, "All
Yeah,
right, I could hear it really hard, at least at the gym." And then he calls my wife, and I hear on the phone saying, "You guys need to come in. The store is falling apart."
oh,
I'm
no,
like, What?" We literally go in, and there was about that much water
oh, no,
uh, in there,
yeah,
and we're wading through water.
yep,
Uh, we found out later that my wife was 4 to 5 months pregnant.
okay,
We didn't know at the time, which is
sure,
probably wasn't the best idea for her to be wading through the water.
mhm,
But Um, but because we had our policies, our savings component, we
yep,
were able to sell the business and not close the business. We were able to
okay,
overcome that stupid
yeah.
brainstorm.
Yeah, yeah, the circumstances that are unexpected. So it's
Yeah,
good to have strategies in place to be able to weather those storms that come
yeah,
up.
literally weathering a
Yeah,
storm. That uh, the morning was not. We weren't expecting a hurricane.
yeah, right. Yeah, whether it's literal or figurative, those storms will come up in our lives and in our businesses. So having
Hmm.
strategies like the infinite banking strategy, which we'll get to in just a little bit here, to talk about. I wanted to comment first in regards to the coffee business having small margins. I'm thinking that may be why there are some more of these coffee shops that are going to this coffee and cocktails
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create a different additional customer base. Perhaps that may be one of the reasons. But now that said, so as you transition out of the coffee ownership, the ownership of that business, what was next? What came up next in your lives?
Yeah, so like I said, my wife was pregnant, and
Yeah.
then we found out a couple months after that she was, and after that flood, we're like, man, all right, I need to change things. It's also illegal to have a baby behind the bar,
Yeah.
so
True.
we're like, all right, we need to change our business. We need to
Yep.
move on or do something. And so we were planning to, or we sold the coffee shop, and about that time, my mentor had a job posting. And
Okay.
in that job posting, I was like, oh, this is cool.
Hmm.
I will apply for this position.
Yep.
Right. And then he comes back to me and he says, no, I'm not going to hire you. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, well, I thought I've been sending you clients. That sounds, I would be perfect.
Right.
Uh, and so I'm like, all right. My wife is like, well, you're now selling the business, so you need to go get a job. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm unemployable. I don't. think I can.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then he comes back to me about a month or so later and says, I have an idea. How about you and your wife um, both start your own agency and I'll coach you? I
Okay.
was like, oh, that sounds awesome. She's 7 months pregnant at the time, so no one's going to
Yep.
hire her anyway. So might as
Right.
well do it.
Yeah.
And we did not know that the world of finance is very opinionated. All
Okay.
we knew was this concept, this infinite banking concept, changed our life.
Yeah.
Um, and so we got into it again, having a little
Yeah.
naivety
Uh-huh.
uh, in that. And we changed people's lives. Now, do we still get people saying, "Oh yeah, but you could do this. You can chase the
Mhm.
market and that"? I'm like, yes, all the time.
Of course. Right.
But it's about building a foundational, stable foundation financially, so I can do more crazy things like start a coffee shop or who
Yeah.
knows, real estate. I don't know, whatever it is.
Right. So for those that don't know what an infinite banking concept is, clarify that a little bit so that we gain that further understanding. Because I know some people have an idea,
Yeah,
where others do not have any clue what you're talking about. So give me a little bit
yeah.
of further information on that.
So what I like about this is we're all in the banking business, no matter what.
Uh-huh.
Right? I remember having the
Yep.
coffee shop, and I don't know about you, but I felt like I was paying Uncle Sam, who never showed up to work, all the time, and banks. The amount of credit card company processing fees that were going away, and I'm like, dude, these guys are never here. Well, I learned a lot about that, and knowing my biggest risk was me, my biggest investment was me. So I needed to make sure that I had some safety for me, not
Yeah.
just divest out of the business, but how do I build some stability in case I need it? So
Right.
that's why we started
Mhm.
this infinite banking yourself policy for us, right?
Yeah.
What banking yourself is a properly designed whole life insurance policy
Okay.
that is mutually owned, non-direct recognition that has a ability to access the cash value. It's a
Okay.
mouthful. Some people say, well, oh wait, but it's not this or that. And there's a lot of like, I don't know, Twitter or different things that are out there that are illusions of it, or people think they know, but they
Sure.
don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Um, but for me, all I know is this made helped me build a stable foundation to
Yeah.
do more. And I just want to help people like think through a cash flow using
Right.
either profit first or anything. You're gonna save,
Yep.
but why would you save into a plan that you don't know what the future holds in regards to taxes?
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I think taxes are going to go up in the future,
Yep.
right? So why pay taxes later on something that we don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
And access. I'm not 59, I'm nowhere close to 59. I like to have accessibility of my cash without penalties. So that's
Sure.
why I like it as a business owner.
Yeah. Okay. So it provides some tax shelter, a
Hmm.
stable foundation, a location that you can access without penalty before age 59 and a half. And um, so, in regards to that, are there any, I guess, limitations as to what you could use those funds for when you are putting them into this whole life insurance policy this that's properly designed?
Yeah. So my only limitations really is, and I work with my clients, if they want
Mhm.
to use the cash value, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a loan. It's kind of like me getting a loan from older me,
Yeah.
right? And if somebody was going to take out a loan and go to Vegas,
Yeah.
I might tell them as their uh, financial professional, maybe you should consider something else, like don't go to Vegas and blow it all on black, right? I don't know, but I can say that, but they could still do it. It's not
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
matter. They could do whatever they want. It's their
Okay.
money, right?
Yeah.
Um, but as a as a fiduciary, I might say maybe think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
But but I think that what I love about this is it's not just for education. I can use
Yeah.
it for marketing. I could use it for literally I used my policies to
Mhm.
buy an office condo
Okay.
because I have multiple ones now. Used
Yep.
it to buy an office condo. So I'm now I rent, right? I'm a business
Yep.
owner. I rent to me
Yep.
and I pay myself back.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's the best kind of situation if you're going to be in a lease. How much better is it to be able to then pay yourself for that
Yeah.
space that's also paying off that space? So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Okay.
and because I own the property,
Uh-huh.
the reason I got out of the coffee industry was
Yep.
because I was not the landlord.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was the tenant, and they were giving us a year-to-year lease, and I'm like, I need some stability, so I
Right.
want to have as much control,
Yep.
and so having the policy and the control, and I could even tell myself I'm not going to pay rent. I'm
Right.
going to, but
Yep.
I could do that, and on top of that, I lowered my tax bill because I
Mhm.
own the real estate and depreciation. So then
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Absolutely. You gotta take advantage of those, additional benefits of real estate investing.
Yep.
Depreciation, other tax deductions. So what would your answer be for someone that asks, why not just put that money, same amount, into my savings account and then just pull it out of my savings account when I need it and then pay it back into my savings account? Why this strategy versus that
Yeah.
one?
So I think about it. That's the like there's the debtor staircase
Uh,
and the saver staircase. The debtor staircase is I have this debt and I climb back up and I yell I'm debt free. Right. This is the
uh-huh.
Dave Ramsey approach.
Yeah.
Right. We went to student debt, and then the saver staircase. I saved all this money and I bought the car.
Mhm.
Right. Then I'm
Yeah.
back to zero.
Mhm.
That's no good.
Okay.
What I like about this is it's a wealth creator. It's an escalator. So it's going to go up. It takes a little while, right? In the first few years,
Yeah.
there is a cost in any business. There's a cost,
Yep.
right? But I can tell you by design, I know whenever it's going to like have a tailwind, and I'll take a loan to
Mhm.
buy a real estate, right? Or something, and then I'll
Okay.
pay it back.
Okay.
Now, the way I kind of think about it is people are very familiar with using a HELOC or a line of
Uh,
credit against your house, right?
yeah.
Well, it's the same thing, except you're the house,
Yeah.
right? So you're building equity into your house. But I don't know about you, but I don't know any savings account that's going to give you a death benefit tax free
Mhm.
if you die, right?
Right.
So I'm accessing this cash value. I have a big loan, $100,000, but my death benefit is 1.5 million, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, if I died, they're just going to subtract that from that,
Yep.
and my wife gets 1.4 million.
Yep.
I don't know which one's better.
That
I mean,
does seem
it's not good for me. I'm dead,
right?
but you know, um,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I definitely see that picture. I mean, just like the house situation you described, if I take out a home equity line of credit and I use that, and if there were a circumstance that I needed to sell my house, well, that would
yeah,
I'd have to also pay back that line of credit, but I'd still have that whole value of the house. It didn't go
yeah,
away. But if I had it in the savings account and I were to have used it and then in this situation died, there's no more money in the savings account that's going to be given out to that person that
yeah,
survives me. So yeah, so it creates that additional benefit on the other side as well. And I
yeah,
imagine there's a couple additional steps to access those funds, which would prevent some potential that someone might have to wastefully spend the money that's available because it's there. I
yeah.
don't know myself, but I imagine there's a few more than just going to the bank and pulling out some cash.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a couple more days, right?
Uh-huh.
A week or so, and if you have a little more time to like maybe make sure you're not gonna go use it at the bar,
Yeah.
maybe you have time to sober up. right?
Yep.
Before, and that's time may be in our benefit. So access is good. Immediate access is sometimes bad. That's why credit card
Right.
companies love us,
Yes.
because guess what? We have it in there, and we're like, oh, but I want it. Oh, you deserve it. No, you don't. Right.
Yeah.
And we end up paying for it with 20% interest because, you know, gosh darn
Yeah.
it, we deserve it.
Yes. Right.
And
You
they're like,
deserve
yeah,
it right
sure, here you go.
now.
Yeah. You know, I'm not saying you don't. If you guys are listening, you do deserve it, but maybe not.
And maybe not right now. Maybe it's something there's a better way, better strategy to get there.
Yeah.
So you also help people through coaching them and areas of, well, profit first would be an example of that. But
Hmm.
the the business that you are running with the coffee business, like you said, you don't necessarily have to pay yourself. It's not illegal to not pay yourself. But I'm thinking that maybe go flies in the face of the profit first strategy or concept a little bit if you're not paying yourself when you're
Yep.
operating the business in any way.
Yeah.
So for those again that don't know much about profit first and the concepts behind it, share a little bit about that mindset and the
Yeah.
ideas and strategies.
Yeah. So basically, Mike Michalowicz is the writer of Profit First,
Okay.
and what he said is most people what they do is they put profit last, right?
Okay.
And most businesses are running almost like let's say Thanksgiving. It's a giant buffet table, and they're just pulling out money, and then they're like, "Wait a second, I ate too much or whatever," right?
Uh-huh.
What I like to think about with Profit First is we're building smaller plates,
Okay.
and you're putting what should be first. We should run a
Mhm.
profitable business. I will tell you, a lot of businesses that I know aren't very profitable. They are using the credit card to run a business, and the credit card companies are making the money
Yeah.
off of them running a really expensive hobby, right?
Sure. Yep.
And so, what we want to do is divide the money coming in into different buckets,
Okay.
right? So, you have your profit account, right? That's saying if we put money into the market, we want to have a profit distribution, right?
Right.
Well, we should have the same thoughts about our own ventures and our own business,
Yeah.
right? So every quarter I'm getting a profit distribution because guess what? I'm successful at what I do, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. And if I don't get a profit distribution, I got to do something, right?
Yes.
Then I have my owner's pay. That's another bucket. So I'm making sure I'm paying me, not just waiting till last. You have
Yep.
your OPEX, that's running an efficient, lean business, not a business that's running 100% OPEX or 101%,
Yeah.
right? That's what a lot of businesses do. And then you have a tax account, right? You
Okay.
put money into a tax account that is set for taxes. Again, I've worked with plenty of clients that they forgot that they ran a business and that Uncle Sam's going to come back and ask for money,
Yep.
right? And then they're like, "Oh, I'm behind on taxes." So like, yeah, because you spent it on marketing on Facebook ads when it
Right.
should have been spent on taxes.
Yeah.
Now, what I like to think about is having these different bank accounts is amazing, but I could use a policy to put it through, and then
Mhm.
I'll take a loan if I need it for taxes or for other things. So one of my bank accounts just happens to be a life insurance policy.
Uh-huh. Okay. So in addition to having those in separate accounts, separate buckets, you could
Hmm.
also incorporate the strategy that we were just talking about,
Hmm.
infinite banking concept, and employ some of that cash into that account, which then allows you to pull that out for this
Hmm.
same purpose for paying your taxes, for
Yeah.
buying new equipment that you need, in addition to what you may have already described.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all one wallet, but
Yeah.
in essence, I want to give dollars jobs in different
Yeah.
areas. I
Okay.
have a policy for my son that's his adulting fund. I don't
Yeah.
touch it.
Yep.
because it's his money.
Right.
I mean, it's our money, but really it's
Yeah.
his. So
Okay. So for someone that wants to find out more about these concepts and to learn, what is the best way for for them to reach out to you and Amanda?
yeah, so of course, go to our YouTube channel, Wealth Wisdom
Okay.
Financial, learn. Our website is Wealth Wisdom F as in financial, P as in partners.com.
Okay.
And have a intro call with me, right?
Yeah.
What I like to do is just have a conversation, do a full financial analysis, because a policy, the profit first system, is a placeholder, right? It
Yeah.
helps you do what you want to do, and so doing that full financial analysis helps to put the hammer, if you will, if this is a tool,
Yep.
in the right place, so then you can leverage and use it to grow your wealth. Right. Again, I own a real estate property. I just happen to um, be the tenant too. So
Yeah. Perfect example of utilizing the strategies that you are teaching to
yeah,
others. So absolutely would encourage people to reach out to Brandon and his wife Amanda and to learn the lessons that they've learned through their own experience and they're applying as well today. Now, I did have one further question for you that I always like to ask my guests. If you were to be handed $1 million today with no restrictions on it, how would you invest that into your business or another endeavor and why?
yeah. I'd probably do a lot of policies again, up
Okay.
to my limit.
Yep.
I would probably do some marketing ads. We've done a lot, or not ads, marketing
Mhm.
endeavors.
Yeah.
Maybe a book launch, because we are working on a book.
Okay.
So how do I amplify that?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go on some kind of trip, because
Sure.
$1 million. I'm not gonna go spend it and go buy a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Uh, we are we are. s- I don't know. Some people, as they make a lot, they spend a lot, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, we have a small house, and we're okay with that. So I
Mhm.
don't. I'll probably be, as we keep growing, those the millionaire next door that's still wearing the same old shirt, even
Yeah.
though I could afford a really nice $1 million shirt.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's probably some of what I would do, and then I'll make sure I will go on a vacation. My One of my goals is to have my son visit 6 of the 7 continents
Okay.
before he's 18.
All
So
right.
he's 5 now. So we're gonna go somewhere,
Okay.
Japan. Yeah.
Yes. How many has he visited so far?
Well, we went to Aruba.
Okay.
We've been to a lot of other states,
Okay.
and then I think we're going to go to Japan in a year.
Excellent.
So we have them all marked, and the reason we haven't gone too far is because he's a 4.
Oh
I
yeah.
want him to
Yeah.
remember these experiences and not be like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah. I'd see that picture. We
yeah,
were there. Don't remember it, but yes, that's
yeah,
wise. Well, I like that there is a plan in place for how you would use that type of money, but also for what you're doing with your son and his experiences in life, and you and your wife as a couple, and how you are helping others in investing in themselves, profit first, thinking about things differently, using the concepts that you've applied and are applying now. So, Brandon, thank you again for taking this time to join me today. And I encourage anyone who's listening to do reach out to Brandon, find out a little bit more about this concept. He and his wife have a wealth of knowledge and experience that they'd love to share with you.
awesome." Thanks for having me, Zach.